Cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin. Lesson 1. What is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a worldwide cryptocurrency and payment system. It's the first decentralized digital currency, as the system works without a central repository or single administrator. It was invented by an unknown person or group of people under the name Satoshi Nakamoto and was released as open source software in 2009. The system is peer-to-peer, and transactions take place between users directly without an intermediary. The transactions are verified by network nodes and recorded in a public distributed ledger called a blockchain. Bitcoins are created as a reward for a process known as mining. They can be exchanged for other currencies, products, and services. As of February 2015, over 100,000 merchants and vendors accepted Bitcoin as payment. Bitcoin can also be held as an investment. In mid-2017, there were between 2.9 and 5.8 million unique users using a cryptocurrency wallet, most of them using Bitcoin. The word Bitcoin first occurred and was defined in the white paper that was published on the 31st of October 2008. It's a compound of the words bit and coin. The white paper frequently uses the shorter coin. There is no uniform convention for Bitcoin capitalization. Some sources use Bitcoin with a capitalized B to refer to the technology and network, and Bitcoin with a lowercase b to refer to the unit of account. The Wall Street Journal, the Chronicle of Higher Education, and the Oxford English Dictionary advocate use of the lowercase Bitcoin in all cases. The unit of account of the Bitcoin system is Bitcoin. As of 2014, the ticker used to represent Bitcoin is BTC. Small amounts of Bitcoin used as alternative units are millibitcoin, or MBTC, and Satoshi. Named in homage to Bitcoin's creator, a Satoshi is the smallest amount within Bitcoin, representing a 100 millionth of a Bitcoin. Transactions are defined using a forth-like scripting language. Transactions consist of one or more inputs and one or more outputs. When a user sends Bitcoins, the user designates each address and the amount of Bitcoin being sent to that address in an output. To prevent double spending, each input must refer to a previous unspent output in the blockchain. The use of multiple inputs corresponds to the use of multiple coins in a cash transaction. Such transactions can have multiple outputs. Users can send Bitcoins to multiple recipients in one transaction. As in a cash transaction, the sum of inputs or the coins used to pay can exceed the intended sum of payments. In such a case, an additional output is used, returning the change back to the payer. Any input satoshis not accounted for in the transaction outputs become the transaction fee. Paying a transaction fee is optional. Miners can choose which transactions to process and prioritize those that pay higher fees. Fees are based on the storage size of the transaction generated, which in turn is dependent on the number of inputs used to create the transaction. Furthermore, priority is given to older unspent inputs. In reality, a transaction can have more than one input and more than one output. In the blockchain, Bitcoins are registered to Bitcoin addresses. Creating a Bitcoin address is nothing more than picking a random valid private key and computing the corresponding Bitcoin address. This computation can be done in a split second, but the reverse action, computing the private key of a given Bitcoin address, is mathematically unfeasible, and so users can tell others and make public a Bitcoin address without compromising its corresponding private key. Moreover, the number of valid private keys is so vast that it is extremely unlikely someone will compute a key pair that is already in use and has funds. To be able to spend the Bitcoins, the owner must know the corresponding private key and digitally sign the transaction. The network verifies the signature using the public key. If the private key is lost, the Bitcoin network will not recognize any other evidence of ownership. The coins are then unusable and effectively lost. For example, in 2013, one user claimed to have lost 7,500 Bitcoins, worth $7.5 million at the time, when he accidentally discarded a hard drive containing his private key. A backup of his key might have prevented this. Bitcoin creator Satoshi Nakamoto designed Bitcoin to not need a central authority. Bitcoin is pseudonymous, meaning that funds are not tied to real-world entities, but rather Bitcoin addresses. Owners of Bitcoin addresses are not explicitly identified, but all transactions on the blockchain are public. In addition, transactions can be linked to individuals and companies through idioms of use. Transactions that spend coins from multiple inputs indicate that the inputs may have a common owner. Additionally, Bitcoin exchanges, where Bitcoins are traded for traditional currencies, may be required by law to collect personal information. Because of Bitcoin's decentralized nature, restrictions or bans on it are impossible to enforce, although its use can be criminalized. The legal status of Bitcoin varies substantially from country to country and is still undefined or changing in many of them. While some countries have explicitly allowed its use in trade, others have banned or restricted it. Regulations and bans that apply to Bitcoin probably extend to similar cryptocurrency systems. Bitcoin has been criticized for the vast amounts of electricity consumed by mining. It has been estimated the annual consumption as of 2017 was 23 terawatt hours, approximately the same as the country of Ecuador.